Hello and welcome to Potential Within. Today, the question is how can we understand the process of creation using tarot? And this, I feel like, is actually one of the best representations of the process we go through when we are going through the process of creation, because tarot cards actually take into account the fire, which is the wands, the water, which is the cups, the swords, which is the air, and the pentacles, which is the earth. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you through the process of creation using tarot cards and my graph here. Now you're going to notice on this graph we actually have colors, and these colors actually coincide to our chakras, but that's for another day. And we can also see that I've added a little bit of color to the bottom just to show the density or the change, the difference between when something's manifesting into the physical versus when something's just manifesting in the air. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in the air, right? We're going to start with those aces. And if you think about the aces, so often they're shown with a gift coming from the heavens, something coming down from the etherical, from the universe, from God, from whatever you want to call it. That inspiration, that aha, that excitement, that idea, it comes down and we have the aces. So right at the crown chakra is where the ace energy would be, that aha, at moment. And the thing about aces, just like with tarot and on our chart, here it's just an idea, it's just a thought, it's just an inspiration. If you don't attach to it in some form or start to think about it more, start to bring it into you, then it just is nothing. It's just a potential. And so that is why the next stage is the two. It is where we actually start to mix a little bit of water with that air energy. If you think about in our own atmosphere, in our own planet Earth, the air is just air. It's when the water starts to mix with the air that we start to actually form something. And that's why those twos, right? There's not action being taken yet, but there is a combining of air and water coming together in union where you start to think, oh, maybe it is a good idea. Maybe it is something that's a potential. Maybe I could actually do it. Within your own being, the rumination, the combination of a little bit of emotion mixing with that thought starts to create a union between the two that starts to bring a little bit of a physical form. When we get to the threes, that is the point where we actually start to take some type of action into the world. Maybe we just start to talk about it. Maybe we share our ideas with other people. Maybe we start to look into perspectives or possibilities of how we can actually bring this beautiful potential into reality. And so there's some expression taking place. Maybe our mind is expressing a lot and we're really thinking about it, contemplating it. We're talking to other people about it. It sounds really awesome. It sounds really great. You know, this would be, maybe we should go on a trip. Oh, it would be really nice to be somewhere warm and hot. Oh, that would be so amazing. Here's where you start talking to other people about, hey, I'm really thinking about going on this trip. Oh, and like so-and-so wants to come too. Oh my gosh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And then here is where we have those fours. And just like in tarot, the four is the place where the idea, the vision feels real enough. You know, maybe you've talked to your friends about that trip and you guys think it's all great. And yeah, you're going to go down somewhere warm and it's going to be so awesome and so much fun. And you're thinking about it, you're dreaming about it, you're talking about it. It feels like it has some form to it, right? You can convince other people that the potential is there, that it's going to happen, right? So the fours are that sense of stability, are the sense of something being real enough that there's some emotion with it, but not actually happening, right? This would be where, you know, everybody talks about it. It sounds like such a great idea. You all have such an awesome time discussing it, and yet nobody actually books the trip or the trip actually never happens, right? And so it's that point in time, and it's why when we think of fours in the tarot, a lot of them are, a place of contentment, right? This would be the place where, you have the vision of the renovated room all ready to go. Maybe you even have it drawn up on your computer. Oh, it looks so great. It's going to be so awesome, right? And yet it's not actually in the physical world yet. No action's actually been taken in the physical world yet. And that is where the fives come in. And fives are the place where we move from all of this air energy and fire in this air realm into the actual earth realm. And that's why the five is probably one of the most challenging, is because when we realize the impact of bringing this idea into reality, we feel the actual implications of the work it's going to take to actually bring this into the physical. It's the place where we're confronted by a lot of our fears and of what did I do? Oh my gosh, am I going to be able to do this? I started playing the trip. It's so complicating. There's so many extra steps in this. I feel like I'm all alone trying to make it all happen. Oh my gosh, this is a lot, right? And then we go from there into the six. And the six is where we begin to have a relationship with the change that's occurring. We start to feel a little more stability, a little more assurity. If you think about the fives and sixes, they're the realm where water and pentacles, right? Where we're starting to feel the implications of the change. And the six is where we start to move on to calmer water. We're feeling a little more successful, and okay, maybe we can make all of this work. We're looking back at like why we thought it was such a great idea in the first place, and we're looking to to work with or cooperate with the project, the others around us, to make it work, right? And so we're moving our way down with this water and earth element, and we're bringing down all the way to the root the physical idea, the creation. Now, the very root is where we hit the sevens. And the sevens are the place, if we think about them, where we're suddenly a little more confronted with like, oh, was this such a great idea? It's where we're starting to feel the strain of it. We're starting to understand the reality of the change that are taking place. And we're in the middle, right? We've gone through all the way here down to the seven, but yet we're way down in the depths of it. And it's hard to see the way out, right? So it's where we are very much confronted with, was this such a great idea? There's so many options. There's so many what ifs. What if this doesn't work out? What if it wasn't a good idea? What if I should have done things differently? What if, right? But then our fire kicks in. And we get that idea of like, no matter what it takes, we're going to find our way through this. We're going to figure something out. And we're going to go for it. We're going to stand up for this. We're going to go for it. And this is the place where the fire really starts to kick in. Because it is the place where our air is starting to have the most difficulty. It is the furthest away from its natural place, right? So we know that the seven is the beginning of where the 8 in swords and the 9 of swords come in. So they're the difficult part because the air really starts to feel challenged. And that's why fire is so important. That's why that motivation, that drive is there. And so it pushes up. It pushes us forward. It brings us up. And then we get to those 8s where the energy is moving again, right? The fire is picked up. We're moving. Although we can't see our way out, right? We're not sure. Air's not comfortable down there. We're willing to do the work. We're working at it. We're seeing the results. We're putting in the time. And we are emotionally invested enough that we are willing to keep flowing with this process, to keep going, right? And then we get those nines. And this nine is that place where we're confronted with that final, oh, I'm weighed down, like the wounded warrior. It's taken so much energy and so much, and it's so hard, right? He's feeling defeated. And yet it's always the place where we find that inner drive. That's why it's at the solar plexus. That inner drive, that inner push to really push us forward, out of these thoughts and this spiraling, and really into a place of embracing, like, we are almost there. This is going to be it. We can do this. I've come this far. I'm going to be able to do it. And then the 10 is the place where it bursts through, right? He's in his last push. It's that last breakthrough. It's always why the sayings are like, it's darkest before the dawn. Don't quit before the finish line. When I'm thinking of a song, hold on for one more day, right? It will work. It's going to, right? It's that final push. He's carrying home the harvest, right? All he's got to do is get this to his home, and he's going to have the bounty, right? The breakthrough, the new earth in form, and the happiness that comes with it, and the relaxing, or the end of this mental battle, right? As soon as the air gets to be back up out of the surface, right? It feels better again. Suddenly the creation's there, and it's like, yes, we did it. It's done. Oh my goodness. And then it rises back up as you feel the elation of the success and the beauty of what has been created. And ultimately, if you've ever been through a process, like any kind of birthing process, whether it's like a project, whether it's a new home, whether it's an actual baby, when you're in the birthing process, right? It's always the parts that are the most physical that are the most challenging, right? Here's where, I think I'm going into labor, and then, Baxton Hicks, maybe not. Actually, I think this is it. Okay. And then we move through. All right, it's happening, but all right, it's hard, but I think I can do this. I got my people here, they're helping me out. Okay, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to find my way. All right, well, this is getting harder and harder, and I don't know if there's an end in sight, and this is way harder, and what did I get myself into? I don't even know anymore. It's just so much, and yet you have that final push, and then the new creation's there. You plan an event. This is those last final touches where, oh my gosh, I thought this was going to be easy, and now it's like, we're having these final challenges, and this is where, you're staying up until midnight the night before to really make sure everything's done and everything's ready, and then finally an event happens, and it's like, poof, it's beautiful, it's great, you did such a great job, and this is the relief, the release, right? The air finally gets to rise again. It's like, oh yeah, we did it, look at this, check it out. You feel it. You're talking about it. Others are talking to you about it. It's so amazing. Your perspective has shifted. It's changed. You're capable of something amazing, and it's awesome. And it just rises up in you of like, yes, we did it, and it was a success. And then eventually the novelty wears off of that success, and you think to yourself, maybe I could do something else. And the process starts again. And so we really realize and see through the tarot cards this representation of the space down in the actual creation process. Those 5 through 10 are the most difficult part of the process because they are the part where you're going through the physical. You're actually going through this transition from something that was just a thought, just a vision, just an idea you really like and sounds really great, but actually bringing it into physical form. And it's the part that is the most worthy, because if you want to create anything stable, secure in life, you do have to go down into the depths of it. And tarot reminds us that when you're at that 7, it's okay. You can push to the 8, and you have the fire there supporting you, and you have the ability to move on. And when you get to that 9, it's okay. You're going to push through. Just keep going. Just keep trying. Don't give up, right? You start to feel the energy. that nine of cups and that nine of pentacles, you start to feel the fact that you're almost there. You know it, but yet it's so hard to see it because you're still under the surface. It just feels so long and it's hard to keep pushing on. And yet you do, because you know you're going to get there. And that's the most meaningful and important part. When we hit a 5 and we're like, nope, then nothing new is ever going to be created. It's when we hit those 5s and we go down under the surface and we start to be down in that space, that's the place where you grow, where learning takes place, where it all becomes worth it. And it's the place where when you know how to support yourself through the watery waters that come up, when you go down into the depths of the ocean, you know, how do you bring up this new earth? How do I bring this new motivation, this fire energy there to help me? Right? And if the fire energy becomes too strong, you know, like in those 9s, that fire energy, it's feeling pretty defeated. It's feeling pretty frustrated and done. That's where that water comes in and goes, no, we're almost there. It's always darkest before the dawn. We can do it. Come on, let's keep going, right? It's when we use water and fire in combination with the air to support ourselves through the emotions. And that's what's beautiful about fire and water, is when you learn them and you learn what they feel like for you, you can learn how to counter them so that this wobble doesn't come too extreme, right? It's like, okay, there's always going to be some changes in the ocean. If I can navigate them, if I can keep my center of gravity, right? I always think of it like a surfboard. All right, I'm going surfing. I'm going to surf this wave. That's what this creation process is. It's like a wave. And so if I can keep my center of gravity, knowing I'm going to be fluctuating through it, I can be empowered to go through it knowing. And each time you go through it, you become more confident in it. You become more stable in how to move through it. And so you're more willing to create. You're more willing to consciously anchor down a new vision for yourself, a new feeling for yourself, a new idea for yourself, anything, right? And when you think about the aces, it's like this is some new physical, practical, bring into the physical something that feels stable and secure for you. This is an inspiration, a thought, an idea, and that we could bring down, right? This is a new emotion. Wow, you know, what would it feel like if I actually felt like good? Like most of the time, like what would that feel like? I want to anchor in this feeling of feeling good. I'm going to tap it. I'm going to tap it with my mind. I'm going to tap it with my emotions, and I'm going to anchor it down into the root of me. And then as the process goes through and I start to feel changes, I know I'm going through those changes because I'm going to get to feel good afterwards. It may not feel good during it, but I know what the goal is. And because I know what the goal is, I'm willing to go through it. And that's what this motivation is all about. That's what this drive is about. And honestly, our soul spark expression is there for us to show us the route to go. We are meant to expand. We're meant to create. We're meant to want something different, new, better, and to actually go through the process of creating it. That's what we're here for. And when we know ourselves through it, and we know the elements we're working with through it, then it actually makes it easier because we're not just lost at sea. We're anchored into a knowing. And that anchored into a knowing is what allows us to keep balance while everything is changing and moving. And we're in a world right now where everything is changing and moving. So our ability to anchor down into an understanding of ourselves so that we can maintain a center point regardless of what comes at us, right? Whatever's happening for us in that outside world, for us to understand ourselves in that internal world, when we are willing to do the work to understand what's under the surface, to do the inner work, to work through what's under there, to support and maintain our balance point, no matter what gets thrown at us, we can sustain ourselves, maintain ourselves, and feel safe and secure in ourselves with greater and greater confidence. And that's what it's all about. This could be fears, but this is your courage. And the courage is always there. Might take a little bit to find it, but it is there for us. Fire is our soul spark, really bringing forth what has always been meant for us. We have always been meant to thrive and and do our best version of living. And it's all within you to do so.